Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Phil. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Oh, pleasure.
Morning, Phil.
Good morning.
All right, it's 6:45 on January 15th, 2021. Welcome in. Thanks for everybody joining. We have a good crowd today, 51 people so far. Hopefully we have a nice and feel-good time today. Going to talk about some of our donations today that we did during the Christmas spirit. So let's get started this morning. Just a quick COVID update. We did have a big spike in cases. Really, you could see here in the last, really since the beginning of the new year, really averaging well above 100 new active cases a day. So the virus is very prevalent in our area. We need to continue just to maintain best practices and procedures. Again, really, I can't emphasize it enough. If you're not feeling well, we need you to stay home. That's one of the biggest things. We need to make sure that if you're not quite feeling 100%, if you got an upset stomach, you definitely have any elevated temperature, shortness of breath, extreme fatigue, just stay home for a day. Let's figure it out. Let's call the docs. If we need to administer the COVID test, let's do that. Let's just kind of act on the side of caution, because the virus is here and it can easily spread very rapidly throughout our organization, and that's one of the last things that we want to do. So let's maintain best practices, keep up the communication, and definitely try to stay home when you're not feeling well. So fire up the rest of this real quick. So the code of conduct for the week is be prompt, start on time, work appointments, project. We've gone 43 days without a recordable injury, so let's keep it up. We had a good week this week. We had one minor or semi-minor vehicle accident was struck by a deer, hit a deer this week on the roadway. So other than that, it was a pretty clean week. So let's keep it up. Let's keep identifying those hazards, putting up our proper controls, communicating all those controls with one another, and looking out for each other so you can go home safe and sound each and every day. Wanted to quickly highlight some personal protective equipment regarding to struck by hazards. Couple things I've seen in the last couple of weeks is we need a little reminder, a little refresher on high-vis clothing. A couple of job sites I've been this last couple of weeks, we've been kind of failing to making sure we're identifying our struck by hazards by wearing that high-vis clothing. One, it's our last line of defense for struck by hazards. It really stands out when you're wearing those orange reflective vests. And another thing is on compliance. The OSHA standard states that all workers within the right-of-way of a federal aid highway who are exposed to either traffic or to a construction equipment within the work area shall wear high-vis safety apparel. And then OSHA also kind of guidelined that to even just basic construction sites. You're starting to see that part of it as that construction equipment within the work area. So it's really important that we continue to wear those high-vis. I know with changing temperatures, sometimes you add and remove layers, but don't forget to throw on that high-vis vest when you're changing your clothes, because it could potentially save a struck by incident. So make sure you're wearing those high-vis clothing. And I just wanted to highlight a class 2 versus class 3. There's sometimes a little bit of confusion in between the two, when we need to wear class 3 and when class 2 is acceptable. So for the majority of our work, class 2 is acceptable, and that's our normal safety vest without the sleeves. The only difference is class 3 has the sleeves. And when we need to wear class 3 is really in two scenarios. When we are on an interstate with speeds more than 55 miles per hour and we're not have protective systems such as jersey barriers to protect us from the public or from the traveling public, or if we're working at nighttime operations. So those are really the two scenarios that we need to wear class 3 vests is, 55 miles per hour and over, and we just have cones or barrels on the interstate, or working in the evening when visibility isn't well with just lighting. So that said, I'm going to pass it over to Ken for the rest of our presentation this morning for some feel good. I'm excited for this next part.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Trying to get to my web browser page. Well, I was clicking yours. I was clicking
Sorry.
your screen. It wouldn't link to me. There we go. All right, show my screen. Yes, can you see me now or see the email of the week?
Got it.
Okay, good. Well, for announcements, Monday is a state and federal holiday. That's Martin Luther King Day, of course. So our offices are open, but we hope everyone participates in thinking about Martin Luther King and the things that he did for the country. So now we also have the next item is kind of a new section, a little bit new. We've added the weather bar in here on a weekly basis as a weather reminder. Certainly the weather is a big part of our operations, our managing our work efficiently and doing and staying safe too if there's conditions that are hazardous. So added in here just as an extra reminder, and it fit right in with the weather reminders, which I called last week the winter reminder about fuel treatment. And I won't repeat all of it, but it's about treating fuel for the cold weather conditions. So we'll be changing out occasionally the weather reminders, and we'll have that weather bar in there for Williston, upgrading automatically for each edition of the email. So for the ECI COVID policies, again, there haven't been many changes recently, but they are available here and can get downloaded by clicking the button there. And then the special program for today is highlighting some of our 2020 ECI charity giving program results. And I'll just repeat the numbers again. Congratulations to all the employees who gave. And we have the Vermont National Guard Charitable Foundation, $6,287. That's the group today. That's our guest. And the other groups that hopefully we'll hear from in the coming weeks would be the Mike Lawyer Foundation at $45.69, the American Cancer Society at $43.83, and Make-A-Wish at $44.33. So a total of $19,672. Very impressed. I'm very impressed. I'm very proud of everyone who contributed. So for this week's special guest, we have hopefully I got all this correct, the Deputy Adjutant General of the Vermont National Guard, that's Ken Gregg, and retired Colonel and F-16 pilot. Sorry, did someone?
Yeah, Ken, I believe it's adjutant.
Adjutant. Oh, okay. Sorry, I misspelled it, didn't I? The spell checker didn't stop me though. Yep. And then the F-16 pilot, former pilot Phil Murdoch from the Vermont Air National Guard, or he's representing today. Also, both of them are representing the Vermont National Guard Charitable Foundation. So that's the group we gave the most money to, because a lot of our employees feel very strongly about the Guard and what the Vermont Guard does for the state of Vermont and for protecting the country. So with that, I'll have Matt turn it over to our guest.
Phil, you want to go first, or?
Sure.
I don't have a view of people. Does everyone see people here? I don't see it. Maybe it's just I got to change my screen. Okay,
yeah,
I'm good now.
I see 5 people, but I don't see
see
myself,
Phil.
which is fine. So you can hear me though, right?
We can.
Yeah. So, well, I think it was probably 2 years ago that Ken and I were. I think it was you, Ken, right? We visited ECI. Yeah,
Yes.
actually, we were able to do it in person, and once again, we were really pleased to see the donation come through this year, and I really we do appreciate it, because this is how we this is the way that we fund our foundation. Really, it's through various organizations. They recognize the work that that goes around the state and nation that our Guard members are accomplishing, and they step up and make donations and think about us, which is we don't actively typically we don't actively fundraise. We don't put a lot of notice out there. We just let our work do the talking. And so our organization was founded for the, probably about 30 years ago as the Gulf War kicked off, and the Guard became a lot more relevant and active. And of course, since 9/11, we really ramped up, and it's been consistent ever since. So this is the way we do it. And it's citizens around the state that recognize what's going on and recognize the need. And you guys are right under the flight path, so you get constant reminders of what we're doing out there. That's just one aspect. That's on the Air Guard side. On the Army Guard, which is 3/4 of our workforce, is on the Army side. I think and Ken can speak to this, but I think you'll see that and it was in the news last night, the deployments, the large deployment coming up in 2021. It involves both the Air and the Army side, but mostly on the Army side, I think, is the majority of it. But that's where we will see the need. We have a consistent need usually throughout the year with all the stuff that you can think of for members in need and their families. So our mission states that we support the emergency financial needs of Vermont military members and their families. It's as simple as that. And emergencies come up, and you guys all know that, especially you can't make up some of this stuff, whether it's house fires or things that happen while members are on deployment and they can't fix the things, and usually a spouse is home and usually kids are involved. That's the other thing that we almost all our cases involve families with kids, and there's some type of hardship. So without the help of organizations like yourself and the recognition, then we don't exist. And we're kind of the last line of defense is the way we look at it. With all the other organizations out there, with the state, federal aid and that kind of thing, there's things that fall through the cracks. We're very agile. We can act on a moment's notice, really, and get a check in hand and get problems solved in very short order. That's because we're we don't have a lot of overhead. We don't have a lot of bureaucracy. We communicate regularly, and we can rapidly solve issues. So I'll hand it over to Ken, and he's there every day. I retired about 10 years ago, so I've got other things that I'm involved in, but I keep the Guard. It's a family. I'm still part of the family. I still go out there on a regular basis, and there's a few people that still know who I am, but it is a big family, and we do appreciate the support. Ken?
Thanks, Phil. Good morning. And again, thanks for having us, and thanks for your great support, your ongoing support, which greatly appreciated. As Phil was talking about, the Guard is, as you may be aware, on top of all the COVID support activities that have been going on over the last 10 months, we're getting, the Army Guard particularly is getting ready to push out about 950 soldiers. And you may have seen in the news over the last 24 hours, in addition to that, we're getting ready to move 100 soldiers down to Washington, D.C. to support the inauguration. So it's a constantly moving machine, and the Air Guard again has probably little less than 100 folks that are out scattered all over the world doing various missions. So again, as Phil was saying, it's really important that we're able to support their families, everything from hot water heaters to roofs to a broken car, whatever happens to come up. So again, we appreciate that. What I'd also like to do is say thank you to the ECI team on behalf of the Charitable Foundation and the Vermont National Guard for your involvement in helping us relocate the Fallen Heroes Memorial. That's been a couple of years in the making. It's really important. The early part of this was very emotional. Families were involved, the families of the fallen, talking to them about what we wanted to do. It became very emotional, and they're very passionate about the memorial and what it means, you know, and every facet of the memorial means something to every member, fallen heroes family, as well as Vermont National Guard members. But it's the right thing to do to move it, because over the last several years with security posture changes, it's become increasingly difficult to make the memorial available to the public. So with this change, it's going to be able to be more available to the public. And that's really important because that's what it's about. So again, we appreciate that, your involvement and your commitment and passion and your care in the process. We appreciate that because literally every brick in that walkway has a story, and it's important. So we thank you for your involvement in that effort as well.
On behalf of ECI, you're welcome. Anyone else want to say anything in response to Ken's thank you?
We'll see if we can do it again next year.
All right.
And
Yeah, we
A
sure
lot
of-
appreciate it. We
Even
sure
better.
And I did have one quick thing. Just to be clear too, that the funds that you folks just donated, part of your holiday donations, goes directly to the emergency needs of our foundation members, of our military members and their families. When we built that memorial, that was a separate fundraising operation. Specifically for that memorial and to be able to memorialize and remember our fallen soldiers that mostly occurred during Afghanistan and Iraq. So our foundation is two-pronged. We support that memorial through specific donations made towards the memorial and in-kind donations like what you folks do with your company. And then on the other side, we do the money that is donated from from your members goes directly to the emergency needs of our military members and their families. So I just wanted to make that little point, just because it sometimes I like to have people know exactly where their funds are going towards.
thank you.
Again, thank you
Well,
for
thank
having
you.
us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, this
Have a great
meeting
day.
really, I tell you, it brings back so many memories because this is something that we call it stand up in the military world, where we start our morning off every morning exactly like this at the commander's office and with all the senior leadership and to get the day kicked off, we talk about the weather, we talk about safety, we talk about all exactly what's going on for the day and what the mission is. Really, it brings back some really good memories.
Cool.
Well, thank you for getting up early with us and joining us, and we really appreciate what you guys do for us Vermonters. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. So Ben McKinney, if you want to kick it off with our projects of the week.
Yeah, sure thing, Matt. Good morning. So I just clicked share my screen. Do you guys see the email in the browser?
You can.
Great. So today we're going to highlight the underpinning project for the surgical addition and renovation project down at Brattleboro Memorial Hospital. Kind of a connection between ECI and Brattleboro. I think Ken Pigeon, you were born at BMH, right?
That's right. Yep.
Ben, were
1961.
you? You weren't, Ben? No, I wasn't either. I grew up in Brattleboro, but a little bit of a local connection there for a few of us. So ECI is contracted with HP Cummings out of Woodsville, New Hampshire to install the foundation underpinning required for this surgical addition onto the main pavilion at BMH. And our work is design build. We're teamed up with Marco from Boscardine Consulting Engineers out of Amherst. We got brought in kind of at the 11th hour. They had a design and a contractor, a group of contractors lined up to perform this, basically underpinning this existing structure, the hospital itself, while going down up to 15 feet directly adjacent to that existing strip footing. Unfortunately, the way they had scoped the work is they had hoped that, you know, digging and skipping relatively narrow sections, that soil would freestand at 5 foot and give them enough time to pour single sections of single face wall. And we were already on board with a pretty minor scope to come in and drill through those single face walls with the soil nail, which could have worked. It was a little bit of an unconventional underpinning system. Our work certainly would have been fine. But whether they could get that to stand up or not, ultimately they couldn't. It was very dry, clean river gravel and sand, and it wouldn't even really hold a 1 foot vertical face. So the existing contractor on board struggled with the design, and we got involved and brought Marco in and came up with a different plan. So the underpinning, our work, these underpinning elements are going to support that soil directly underneath the hospital during the work, and you know, obviously take some of the vertical component of that footing load, but then also prevent, you know, any soil from moving and leading to settlement. So our excavation is up to 15 feet deep, and the way we planned to do it and have since done the first phase of it is to install a series of closely spaced vertical hollow bar piles through the outer edge of the footing. We installed essentially hollow bar mini piles or soldier piles at 10 inches on center in the deeper section. So a really tight grid of hollow bars, essentially making a grout and steel curtain wall that you know, has a shear and moment capacity in that vertical plane, but then also is so tight that it really prevents much soil from getting outside of it. So we installed, you can see the plan view here, we installed our mini piles down through the footing, and we used pretty good sized bits. I think they were 6-inch bits, 6 or 6.5 inch bits for that big grout column. In the deepest section of 15 feet, we used a 52-26 bar, 52 millimeter OD, 26 millimeter ID, which is pretty good size. And we used our standard 40-20 in the shallower sections. And the idea is, after installing these mini piles full depth, was then to dig down, shave the soil off to find what you can see here is kind of you're just looking at some soil stuck to the outside of the grout, but those are the grout columns. And then to shotcrete over it and then drill soil nails through it, and then drop down another lift, up to 3 lifts in the deepest section. And that shotcrete section, because we had so much, you know, such a robust structure inside, was really just a face. It was structural, but not quite to the extent of just a soil nail wall where it's really spanning many feet in each direction, and that's why we got away with a 4-inch wall. So you can see that's after the first 5 foot cut. There's Walter running the grout plant inside a temporary enclosure. Got some snow down there when we were there. So here's us installing the soil nails for the it looks like the last lift. Although we would have done the shotcrete first, so I'm not sure exactly what they're doing there. They're probably not drilling in that section. So you can see here that first lift, and second lift, and then down in this corner to the left of the picture off screen would be the third and final lift. The testing program consisted of just verifying bond capacity on a vertical anchor that was close but not right in the work. Locking off all the production soil nails, which were drilled 12 feet in, 5 foot on center each way to 10 kips, and then testing, I think, 2% of the soil nails. This is phase 1 of shotcreting. It's a cold day. Here we are, phase 2 again. We used our Schwing 500 to spray all the shotcrete. Pretty good system.
Mhm. Pretty
From
cool.
the photo archives, we've got the Green Mountain Railroad Stone Arch Culvert Repair with shotcrete and multi-plate sections in Shaftesbury back in 2009. That looks like Mark Nash from behind. I don't recognize
does.
anyone else.
Yep. Okay.
Looks like all we got.
Okay. Good job, Ben. Everybody have a good day out there. And congratulations again on all the, the money we contributed to the charities, especially the Guards. So it's good to hear from them, and we'll be looking forward to the other groups presenting in later weeks here. Have a good day. Be safe.